8 drivers set to go. In the Indy Lights program, can Pato Award win today and score a $1 million scholarship to run in the Verizon IndyCar Series in 2019? We will see. It's Pato Award versus Colton Herta, potentially championship Saturday here in Portland.
All right, getting ready for the field to roll off. Pato Award, Colton Herta. Patricio is currently the points leader, needs to finish ahead of his teammate to win the championship. As you had heard, had that incident earlier today. Will start in the back of the field tomorrow, so needs a good finish today. And again, all he has to do is finish in front of Colton Herta, and he'll be ready to go. So, here to call the Indy Lights, presented by Cooper Tires. Race number 1, let's turn things over to Nick Yeoman and the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network.
Going to help us call the action. He is set up inside turn number 6. Let's first check in with Jake Query.
Thank you, Nick. This is technically the west end of this racetrack, and as you had mentioned, it is a very flat course, but that's not to say that long sweeping right-handed turn number 5 is not an opportunity for you to really develop some speed. It is then immediately followed by turn number 6, naturally speaking numerically. That's a left-handed, kind of a slight sweep as well. Then all of a sudden you start to set up just a little bit of a tug to the right, and then it becomes a very sharp turn that is turn number 7. Once they do that, it does lead to a straightaway with a very slight kick. That's where the field will come into the view of Dave First.
Jake, thanks. I think this area in front of me could be really interesting today. They leave your view, Jake, a little 25-degree left-hander. Then they hit this huge, long right-handed blend. It is the longest stretch on this road course, heading east, total length of just over a half-mile, concrete to the right, Armco barrier to the left. They go up through the gears, one of the fastest portions of this race course, a trap speed of 175 miles an hour for the Verizon IndyCar Series, before reaching another left-hander in turn 9, well out of my view. But I can't help but think that if you can't get through turn 7 correctly, might leave the door open for the car behind you to entertain the idea, of perhaps pulling alongside here in turn 8. This is really a tough place to pass here at Portland. Turn 7 and 8 could be crucial here this afternoon, Nick.
Let's welcome in one of our pit reporters, Rob Howden. You're down on pit lane as we're 1 lap away from going racing here in Portland.
Nick, it's been a fantastic weekend so far. Of course, Friday a little bit overcast, gorgeous here right now, no doubt about it. 71-degree ambient temperature, but with that sun, it just feels so much warmer here. There is some cloud cover still. Track temperature about 107, so it's been a little bit different than we've seen throughout the weekend. And one more pit lane update that I'll give you. Heeman Choi for Juncos Racing. Remember, that engine change wasn't able to get up to speed in the second practice. Just for precautions, they're going to start Heeman Choi from pit lane here today.
Dan Rusanowski joins us this weekend as well. Dan, a big weekend as Pato Award tries to close out a championship at Indy Lights.
It's a big day for Pato, and of course he's additionally challenged, Nick, by the fact that he had that incident in qualifying for race 2 and something earlier today that has nothing to do with what is about to transpire. But the story I got from his sponsor, Bob Stelrek, was that he was so, shall we say, responsible for everything that he actually sent a text to Bob from the cockpit after the incident to say that he was okay and he was ready to go racing.
How about that? These young kids, they can multitask. That's pretty impressive.
Multitasking is crucial.
Not going to be doing that here at Speed, though, when we go racing.
In this world of ours, yeah, multitasking is absolutely crucial. Now, I think the start here is going to be so important, and you betcha that Colton Herta is going to be on it, and he knows he's on the clean side of the track here as he comes into the brake zone for turn 1, so he really needs to take advantage of that, hang around the outside of Pato Award, and then have the inside for turn 2. I think that's how he needs to get the job done.
35 laps, round number 16 of the 2018 Indy Lights Championship is green. We are racing here at Portland. Pato Award gets a nice jump. He'll clear Colton Herta for the top spot. Herta's going to swing wide, a little locking up for Aaron Telitz as Santi Urrutia runs wide. Front 2 get through the first couple corners. Pato Award is your leader. Urrutia rejoins the action right in front of Colton Herta, Jake, as everybody ducks and dives on this opening lap.
As a matter of fact, it's Aaron Telitz that is not able to get underneath Santi Urrutia, who had blended back in. Now, through turn number 5, Pato O'Ward got a little bit loose. That allowed for Colton Herta to make up some ground. Telitz has a lot of action just behind him. It's Ryan Norman who's trying to get around that 9 machine. Leader, though, the leader is Pato O'Ward, 2-car length advantage on Colton Herta.
Patricio O'Ward now down this long back straight, followed by Colton Herta. Then it's the 23 of Franzoni. Then it's Urrutia, and further on back, the rest of the field. That involves Norman, Dalton Kellett. We expect to see him at Choi here momentarily, Nick.
Yep, Kellett pops out, tries to get around Ryan Norman, doesn't have a good enough run. Anders, what'd you see in that run down to turn 1? Thankfully, all 8 cars able to make it through.
Yeah, they were, and I think Colton Herta's going to be kicking himself a little bit because he just lost it on the initial jump at the start there. Otherwise, I think he would have been able to get around Pato O'Ward, but now he's hard on that push to pass button. Already used 1 click down the front straightaway here, so he's going to be applying the pressure on Pato O'Ward. And I think now we're really going to get a good perspective how this track's going to race all weekend based on what we're going to see in this race. So I'm very, very excited to see what we're gonna experience over the next few laps.
Colton Herta just a couple car lengths, Jake, behind Pato O'Ward.
O'Ward the leader, then it's Herta. Gap back just a little bit before Victor Franzoni, Urrutia, Telitz, and Norman, who is really starting to close in on Aaron Telitz, and then Dalton Kellett. The leader, Pato O'Ward, through turn number 7.
Yeah, Patricio O'Ward, call it 2.5 car lengths, maybe 3. He's able to get off turn 7 a little bit better in that Yankee blue of Colton Herta. Single file as they make their way into turn 9, Nick.
Anders, we just saw a replay of that opening lap. I don't think either sets of Cooper tires for those Belardi teammates going to be as fresh as they were when we started this race.
No, they have some serious flat spots. Yeah, no, that not ideal this early in the race, and I think the only consolation is that the asphalt isn't really that rough down there in the brake zone, so maybe the flat spots aren't as bad as they could be, but at the moment, great to see here. Colton Herta just applying the pressure here on Pato O'Ward, and clearly in the opening couple laps here seems to have the upper edge pace-wise.
Pato O'Ward about a 2 or 3 car length advantage, Jake, as they race through turn number 5.
First time by this area in that long sweep of 5. That's where the balance got a little bit irritable for Pato O'Ward. That allowed Herta to close in on him, but O'Ward the last 2 times by has been able to make up that ground and get himself now through turn number 6. We'll call it, Dave, first a 3-car length advantage.
Aaron Telitz, the one that finds himself on the outside of looking in, losing a couple of spots here in the opening laps at beautiful Portland International Raceway. It maintains O'Ward, Herta, Franzoni, Urrutia, Telitz, the top 5.
Boy, up front, Anders, Colton gets a really nice run down that back straightaway. Last couple laps, he's been able to close within a car length of 2 of the leader.
And really, the key for him is going to be here in turn 11, just to be able to stay close enough to Pato O'Ward. And you get so much turbulent air from the car in front of you, so it's difficult to keep close. But look at this, and he's on the attack down the inside.
Colton Herta locks up the front tires. He'll get alongside, maybe just a nose, jumped out of the throttle, then back in. He gets a nice charge, though, Jake, out of turn number 3.
As they work their way in through turn number 4, Herta is right there. Now, all of a sudden, O'Ward gets a little breathing room in that long sweeping right-hander. He has good momentum that gives himself back now to a car length and a half advantage. Herta gave it a really good run there in that 1-2-3 combo, but O'Ward through 4 and 5 is able to get back some breathing room. Pato O'Ward now extends a 3-car length advantage over Colton Herta.
It's pretty interesting on the first half of this race course. It seems Herta right now might have the advantage by the time they hit this half-mile backstretch. Once again, O'Ward stretches things out. Call it 2 car lengths over Colton Herta.
And Anders, there's no doubt he is hammering that push-to-pass button. Colton Herta knowing that if he's going to get around Pato, might have to do it early in this race.
Yeah, I think so. I think that what we've seen all season long is the fact that we don't really have a lot of full-course yellows. So you really need to take your opportunities. And I think he's within striking distance here. Can he get the job done? Oh, down the inside. Beautiful move for Colton Herta.
What a pass into turn number 1 as Colton Herta slips to the inside. Pato O'Ward locked up the tires. New leader Jake Query into turn number 4.
That navy blue underneath the sun here in this west end of the racetrack. It had been an overcast morning. Now all of a sudden completely sun splashed this end of the racetrack. It's Colton Herta now with O'Ward behind him. Then Victor Franzoni, followed by Urrutia, Telitz, who's gotten past Norman, and then Dalton Kellett. Colton Herta Colton Herta now trying to extend over Patricio O'Ward.
And I think, Jake, he's done a little bit of that and more. I'm going to call this 4 car lengths now. That lead Colton Herta has over Patricio O'Ward. Further back, single file as they head into turn 9.
I tell you what, Anders, Pato O'Ward's got to get on it because he's got a hard-charging Victor Franzoni that's about 5 or 6 car lengths back.
He does, and I'm very surprised to see him lacking so much pace this early in the race because, I mean, Colton Herta has just absolutely disappeared. And to your point, yeah, he is just falling back now and not even using any push to pass, so not quite sure what's going on here with Pato O'Ward.
What a lap for Colton Herta at race pace, a minute 4.550 as he is your race leader here at Portland International Raceway. The gap back to Pato O'Ward across the start-finish line, 0.8 of a second. Another 0.8 of a second back to Victor Franzoni, who runs in third. Santi Urrutia has the 4th spot locked down, although he is starting to hound Franzoni for that 3rd spot. Aaron Telitz runs in 5th. The winner a week ago, Ryan Norman, running in the 6th position. He had a great qualifying run, Anders, this morning. He's going to be on pole position for race number 2, Ryan Norman.
And he's really picked up some momentum as of late. You know, ever since he had that front row start at Mid-Ohio, it looks like he's unlocked something in himself and kind of picked up where he left off at the tail end of the season last year. So yeah, absolutely brilliant to see for him. And as I'm now seeing, and a slight lock up there for Colton Herta. So he's clearly pushing hard here to get the fastest lap of the race, and he realizes the only way he's going to have his championship hopes alive is by getting the fastest lap and the most laps led here to maximize the points. But I was just thinking here, the only reason why Pato O'Ward maybe isn't applying the pressure as much at the moment is maybe that he's saving a little bit of tire. We know that it's so hard, especially on the left-hand tires here, especially the left front. Very, very difficult, and it puts a lot of grain into the tire.
Well, let's be honest, Pato O'Ward doesn't need to win both of these races, and even if Colton wins both of them, if Pato can pick up a pair of second-place finishes, the championship's still going to be his.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So from a championship perspective, I don't really think there's much, but again, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier before the start of the race, what both these drivers want to do is they just want to end the season on a high note, so that every Verizon IndyCar Series team owner knows, yep, this is my guy.
And knowing Pato, he's not really a guy that I think's going to be just content. Hey, come home second. You know, he's a guy that wants to run hard and would love to win a couple more races. He's racked them up this year. 7 wins for Pato O'Ward as we see the lap car of Heeman Choi duck onto pit lane as he'll go a lap down. But these guys have both had incredible season. That's why we expect to see both of them in IndyCar next year.
Yeah, it is indeed, as we see now Heeman Choi going through pit lane, and he's actually doing a really smart decision here. I think he's just going to drive through pit lane and let the whole field get by, and then he'll get on his way again. It's been a very, very difficult weekend for Heeman Choi, and I kind of feel for him in the fact that he's been out of the car for such a long time, so then to be thrown into this Indy Lights competition, first time out for the first time in a long time, you're going to physically be feeling the pain. You're not going to be in the flow of things, and the car, I mean, these are lightning quick cars. The fact that they go around here at a 1:04 lap time is just crazy. So yeah, you really need to be on top of it, and clearly very little time to prepare for Heeman.
I'll tell you what, as good as the battle has been up front between Colton Herta and Pato O'Ward, tip of the cap really to the top 6 as Ryan Norman's got a nice charge up the inside of Aaron Telitz as they head towards turn number 9. He has to jump out of the throttle as things get awful tight there. But front 6 cars separated by 4.2 seconds. Everything's separated, all these drivers, by about 5 or 6 car lengths each. So everybody showing some pretty good pace. Colton Herta just set the fastest lap of the race. He is your leader. A little bit further back, we take a look at that battle for 5th. Ryan Norman all over the rear wing of Aaron Telitz. Jake, pair of red cars heading out of turn number 3. It's a battle for 5th with Aaron Telitz trying to hold on.
Yeah, this is exactly what we saw at Gateway with those 2 teammates of Santi Urrutia and Aaron Telitz battling again. Right now, the 4th place machine is that of Urrutia. Then behind him it's Telitz. Norman is right there, and to your point, that's probably the better battle, that one between Telitz and Ryan Norman. Norman, who got that first career win at Gateway, is right on the heels of that number 9 machine, Dave. Ryan Norman trying to get Aaron Telitz.
You got to think after a pole this morning, Ryan Norman's got to be feeling pretty good. And inside that Journey, Mazda lost a little bit of space. Call it 3 car lengths now to the 5th place, Aaron Telitz.
Yep, and that give up that he had there through turns 7 and 8 that Dave described, not allowing him to get close enough to make a move through turn number 9, probably going to prevent him from getting a good run out of turn 12 down into turn number 1. So Colton Colton Herta is your leader as we work lap number 9 here at Portland International Raceway. This is a 35-lap event. It's round 16 of 17. And Rob Howden, this is a championship weekend for everybody in the Mazda Road to Indy. We're going to see who comes home with this title, but you're standing by with a guy that picked up another race win en route to a championship this weekend.
Yeah, Nick, we locked up the USF 2000 Championship at Mid-Ohio. American driver Kyle Kirkwood for Cape Motorsports able to get the job done there. But you're on a win streak. You're trying to get a pretty good record here. You're trying to tie J.R. Hildebrand for 12 wins, 11th win today. This one wasn't an easy one, though. Before we came on camera and on radio here, you said that you were pushing from start to finish.
Yeah, that was a really crazy race. I pushed the entire race. That first start was crazy enough, and then when we had that restart, I thought I was clear, and here comes 2 more cars sailing down the inside of me. I just sat in the middle, and everyone went by me. I was totally not expecting that at all. But that was the hardest race I've had all season. It's a great track, great facility. Big thank you to Mazda and Cooper Tires. That was a great race, but if we could do the same thing tomorrow, that would be an insane end to our year.
Kyle, let's talk about the weekend for you. You weren't quite at the top of the charts in the test sessions on Thursday. You found more speed yesterday, qualified on pole. It's kind of been a progression for you throughout this weekend.
It is, yeah. I think we may have gotten a little bit lost in the setup at one point early on this weekend, but after that, we've just been ticking away at the car and getting it faster and faster every single time, and that was the best car it's been, and it was the best car in qualifying 2 and the best car that we've had in qualifying 1. So we just keep getting better and better, and I think we can just maybe a little bit of fine-tuning for this next one, and we'll see what happens.
Speaking with Kyle Kirkwood, your new champion in USF 2000. In Mid-Ohio, you teased that you might have been in a Pro Mazda car here this weekend, but I know that Cape Motorsports really wants that team championship. It's you, a single driver, against the 4 drivers at Pabst Racing. You're getting close to winning that team title for Cape again.
You know, that's a big goal of ours, and you know, we just have to keep one thing in our eyes at one time. So running both the classes would probably be impossible, but no, we're going after that team championship with full head of steam and see what happens.
Kyle, one more question as we'll get back to the Indy Lights race. You're going Pro Mazda racing next year. You had the scholarship from Mazda, over $380,000. Have you thought that far ahead yet?
You know, no, we're still focused on this, and only take one thing at a time. And you know, I thought about it a little bit a couple weeks ago, and it's just like, wow, this is really happening. I'm following in the same footsteps as so many amazing drivers, and my teammate and one of my really good friends, Oliver Askew, last year. So I'm really excited to get into the car at the Chris Griffin test and so forth next year.
Hey, congrats on today's win. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Nick Yeoman, Kyle Kirkwood's going to be going for a record number 12 race win to tie J.R. Hildebrand here in USF 2000.
Anders, before we turn our attention to the battle for the lead, because it is tightening up again, your thoughts on Kyle Kirkwood, as Rob talked about. What an incredible season he's had.
It's been incredible to see, and I think where he's really shown is just in maturity and putting the races together. I think there's been plenty of drivers that have been, if not as quick as him, certainly very close, but where he's really put it together is now Pato O'Ward is taking a look down the inside here of Colton Herta. But no, I think where he's really put it all together is the fact that he's never made mistakes. He's just been picture perfect.
Jake Query, that battle for the lead picking up as Colton Herta kicked up a little dust there at the exit of turn 3.
Yep, kicked up a little dust just past the point where he had taken the lead. Colton Herta now, again, Pato O'Ward through 5, got just a little bit wide. That allowed Colton Herta to hold him off. And then let's talk about Victor Franzoni. He had a very emotional weekend day first in Toronto. Franzoni all of a sudden became hesitant because of the fact that he couldn't afford any more damage. Now that we get to the end of the year, solid run for that 23, running 3rd right now.
Yeah, I think that's inspirational stuff from Victor Franzoni. He's lost a little bit of ground to the leaders in Herta and O'Ward as that battle continues. Santi Urrutia, Aaron Teagle, it's the top 5.
Boy, Pato O'Ward may have a shot at regaining the lead. It's now that he's in 2nd position, he's had a chance to take advantage of that push-to-pass system across the start-finish line to complete lap number 12. He's within a car length. Here comes O'Ward. He'll shoot up the inside. They both lock up. Herta has to go up and over the curbing, and O'Ward will take the lead. Pato O'Ward swings to the outside. Jake Query, he takes the top spot, and now Herta's got his hands full with Franzoni.
Boy, and Franzoni absolutely came flying in on Colton Herta. Herta was able to hold him off, but is he going to be able to do it through 5? O'Ward comfortably now over Colton Herta. Franzoni is right there. The bigger issue for Herta might have been not colliding once he got back onto the course with O'Ward coming through turn number 3. Now he's got his mirrors full. It's Victor Franzoni trying to close in on Colton Herta.
And meanwhile, Patricio O'Ward with a big-time lead. Franzoni closing in a little bit on Herta. Then it's Thielitz. Then the number 9. Or check that. It's Ryan Norman in 6th. But I tell you what, Patty O'Ward is checked out right now with everything else going on behind him, Nick.
Anders, that very well could have been the move that won Pat O'Ward this championship.
Yes, indeed. And kind of, I was a little bit surprised that Colton Herta didn't go to the inside to protect him. And that's kind of the number one thing we, as driver coaches teach is you always make your opponent go the long way around. Never open up the inside for anyone. Then what we just saw happen can happen so easily for someone just to dive down the inside and take advantage. So I think Colton Herta is going to have to rethink here as we're on our end getting a replay here of what happened. And it's, textbook here from Pato O'Ward, pulls out and not completely alongside, but really nowhere for Colton Herta to go. And he goes over those rumble strips. And that's a vicious ride there. Bottoms out the car badly. And look at how close. Oh, and there was a bit of contact.
Rear wheels.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of a hip check there from Pato O'Ward. But, again, still a little bit surprised Colton Herta didn't just protect the inside.
Man, oh man, and you're right. The ride up and over the curbings for Colton Herta. All 4 tires get off the ground. That car bounces hard back onto the racetrack. And to just the few split seconds it took for him to regather it, Pato O'Ward left him, and that's why he's got a 2.4 second advantage with 20 laps to go here in Portland.
And don't forget riding over those curbs with that thumb injury he got in the streets of Toronto. I mean, that cannot feel good, and we know he has the brace off, but still, that's got to be tender, and going over like that and being banged around in the car can't be feeling good.
So, Jake, now for Colton Herta, he's got to refocus. Looks like he's done a nice job, though, of gapping Victor Franzoni for second.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, 2, 3, 4, pretty much even distance from one another. Herta in second, then that third place machine of Franzoni. Then you have Santi Urrutia. Wait just a little bit, and then it's that battle between Thielitz and Ryan Norman. Dave, let's take a look back in at that battle between Aaron Thielitz and Ryan Norman, because that Journey machine seems to almost be stuck right there at the rear of that number 9.
Yeah, I tell you, Norman has been right there, call it 3 car lengths behind Aaron Thielitz, but not letting Aaron get away, certainly in this afternoon's race. Ryan Norman, he's on the charge, the pole sitter tomorrow, looking good today.
Yep, Norman trying to get in the top 5 to get around Aaron Thielitz and salvage what has been a pretty decent day so far, grabbing that pole position. We can see those cars way back there just onto the front straightaway as the leaders make their way through turns 2, 3, and 4. And it looks like Norman was right there, might have taken a look to the inside. He did, slides through turns 2 and 3, and he's going to have to give up that position. Big lock up there for Ryan Norman, Jake, and that might have done away with that great battle for 5th.
He locked him up, he went through the runoff area, and to your point, almost allowed Dalton Kellett to get right on him. Kellett, who had really fallen off the pace. So Ryan Norman lets essentially Aaron Thielitz get away. Let's go down now to pit road and Rob Howden.
Thank you so much, Jake. Rob Edwards here from Andretti Autosport. Well, let's just say pretty much straight up, you guys let the boys take the gloves off and go at it here for the championship, did you not?
Yeah, we did. I mean, they were told to make sure that they looked after their teammate. That was pretty close to the line, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, they both raced very well all year. They both race hard, and yeah, there aren't any team orders for sure. It's, go and race hard, but look after each other as well.
Can you give a comment maybe on what you've seen out of these kids from start to finish, how good they've got from the very first race of the year to this race?
I think, we've said it all year, right, is the Lights field this year may not have been that great in quantity, but what it's not had in quantity, it's had in quality, right? And I think both Pato and Colton have just done such a great job all year, and exciting to have both of them as part of our camp. And I think Sante as well, right? He's been a great benchmark for us all year. Obviously, it's his 3rd year, and so that to give us something to measure where our guys are at. Yeah, like I say, it's super competitive, and happy that we've got 2 guys like Colton and Pato.
Rob, thank you so much.
No worries.
Again, there he is, Nick. That's Rob Edwards. Of course, saying right there, Santi Urrutia, the benchmark for these guys to go after. Here's a guy that finished 2nd in the championship 2 years in a row, but lots of talk in the paddock about where both Pato O'Ward and Colton Herta are going to end up next year. Very interesting, and some hardcore racing. I like the fact they let these guys go out and absolutely go at it together.
And right on the line, that's what Rob Edwards described that battle, and he's right, Anders. I mean, that's about as close as you want teammates to get. Again, as you mentioned, though, Colton Herta gave up the inside, and while they did a little bumping, Pato was there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, and part of me, having reviewed it a couple of times, part of me is wondering if Colton just didn't realize the Pato was going to pop, because he was already sort of into the brakes before Pato made his pop. So it was, to Rob Edwards' points, it was right on that line, but still he was alongside, and that's sort of the number one measuring stick you have to use there when it comes to an overtake like that is, was he fully alongside, or was it left rear against or right rear against left front rather, and in this particular case they were side by side.
Anders, like you kind of explained the push to pass situation or how this system works for these drivers, because Colton's in a tough spot now with 17 to go as he's fallen 2.4 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, and he needs to be within 1.5 seconds to be able to activate that push to pass, and you cannot activate it in defense, so you can only use it offensively, which I think is actually a great system in place, because it guarantees some closer racing than we've seen in years past. And so in the case here of Colton Herta, he's got to push. Every single lap has got to be perfect. But the problem is he's only going a couple of hundredths a lap quicker than that car of Pato O'Ward. So he really needs to make a bigger dent here to be able to get back into push-to-pass range, and that's the only shot he's got.
Yeah, it's 2.4 seconds, Jake Query, and the tough part is he's not just trying to run down any guy. He's trying to run down a guy that's won 7 races and may very well claim a championship today.
Yeah, you got to wonder at what point Herta says, you know what, I'm just going to try to be conservative here and make sure I hold off Victor Franzoni. Everybody 1 through 5, Dave, pretty now even and spaced out as they come their way towards you.
Give them credit, just like what the New York Yankees are doing in Major League Baseball, doing whatever they can to win a championship. Colton Herta and Andretti Steinbrenner taking a nod from those guys as well, but he's got to catch up. The equation's pretty simple. He's got to finish ahead of Pato O'Ward.
Yep, and that is to stay alive, and if they finish the way they are right now with Pato O'Ward as your race winner, finishing ahead of Colton Herta, Pato wouldn't even need to start the race tomorrow. The championship would be his, so Colton Herta has to get on his horse with 15 laps to go here in Portland, the advantage down to 2.3. So again, Anders, shaving off hundredths of a second, he needs to shave off tenths at a time.
He really does, and he is making it happen, but it's a fine balance here, because it can be so easy now for Colton Herta to overdrive those tires, so suddenly, before you know, 5 laps down the road, he's completely driven the tires off and will actually be losing time. So it really is a very fine line, and again, why this is such a good training ground for the Verizon IndyCar Series, because everything that they're learning here in pushing and holding back and saving tires and everything directly applies to the IndyCar Series.
20 of 35 laps complete here at Portland International Raceway. Here's how they run. Pato O'Ward is your leader. Colton Herta runs in second. Victor Franzoni for Juncos Racing has the 3rd position locked down. Santi Urrutia runs 4th. His Belardi teammate Aaron Telitz is in the 5th spot. Ryan Norman, the winner at Gateway, runs in the 6th spot. Dalton Kellett is 7th. And Rob Howden, it's been a rough weekend for Heeman Choi, who runs in the 8th position. But again, a nice positive sign to see an 8th car on the grid here at Gateway to close out the season. Excuse me, in Portland to close out the season.
Yeah, most definitely. Great to have 2 cars at Juncos Racing. But again, for the drivers in Indy Lights, they're kind of behind everyone else. USF 2000, Pro Mazda, and even the IndyCar drivers were able to get on track on Thursday for 2 extended test sessions. Gave him a chance to get a feel for it. Heeman Choi comes in to run with Juncos Racing. His first time on the track was practice on Friday morning. He has that issue going into turn number 1 early. Didn't get enough heat built into the Coopers, ends up in the wall. He misses the second session. The qualifying session for race 1 starts from the grid. They keep bringing him in. Anytime the leaders start coming around, they're bringing Heeman in. He's been in, I think, 2 or 3 times at this point. Give him a stop and go. Get him back out onto the racetrack. The key for the race directors now is to try to make sure Heeman gets out there, gets as much track time as possible heading into tomorrow afternoon's event. And again, tough one, of course, for Heeman, but trying to get him as much track time as we possibly can.
Dave, first, you just saw that battle for 5th roar by you down that back straightaway. Looks like Ryan Norman's kind of gathered it back up here at Portland.
I think there's no question about it. I would call it maybe 3.5, 4 car lengths or so, but it certainly seems like coming through 6, 7, and this big right-handed bend in turn 8, that Ryan Norman's just a little smoother than Aaron Telitz.
Yep, and that's easily the best battle on the racetrack, because things have gotten a little disjointed. So, Jake, let's take a look at that battle for fifth as Aaron Telitz leads Ryan Norman through turn 4.
Yep, and right now it is Aaron Telitz that's running in fifth. Norman is right there with him. Now, you got to wonder as well at this point in the race what exactly those Cooper tires are doing. It was Telitz's teammate, Santi Urrutia, last time by that got a little bit squirrely, and you got to wonder if maybe those tires aren't starting to fall up just a little bit. Ryan Norman, though, is trying to reel in. They're coming right at you, Dave.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3-car length advantage now for Aaron Telitz. How about Ryan Norman the last couple of races? A third at Mid-Ohio, one, of course, at Gateway. Unfortunately, we've only got 2 races left. I bet he's wishing we had another 10 races or so here in 2018.
Across the start-finish line, 12 to go for Pato O'Ward, looking to close out a championship and score his 8th win. But, Anders, let's take a little time to talk about Ryan Norman as he's close to within about 3 or 4 car lengths down into turn 1 on Aaron Telitz. I thought, outside of the Freedom 100 this year, which is always usually the race of the year, Gateway can make a strong claim for maybe the best race we saw all season. As that battle between Norman and his teammate Colton Herta was clean, it was fast, and it was exciting, and what a big win for that young man.
It was fantastic to witness, and the fact that he held behind Colton Herta for so many laps there with that dirty, turbulent air was just so impressive, and the way that he made that move stick and then held off the continued attacks from Colton Herta was simply impressive. So it was great to see, and I really think he's got a bit of a boost in confidence now because you can kind of see he feels a bit more assured and obviously on pole position for race 2 as well. So things are looking up for him, and I think if he returns to Indy Lights action for next year, he could be a genuine championship contender.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. His name's going to be on the short list. Certainly would like to see Ryan Norman back, but I know everyone's got their own agenda and plans of what they want to do. Norman probably not going to pick up that 2nd career win today as he runs in the 6th position, but again, has a great opportunity to try to do that tomorrow, starting from the pole position. He has run down Aaron Telitz through turns 2 and 3. Telitz's car got a little squirrely, Jake, exiting turn number 3. Ryan Norman just waiting for that driver from Wisconsin to make one mistake, and he may very well slip back into the top 5.
Aaron Telitz had to suddenly go through some dust that had been kicked up by his teammate Santi Urrutia just in front of him, but he can't worry about that because he still is getting all kinds of heat from the car just behind him. That's that 48 Journey machine of Ryan Norman working their way through turn number 6. It is now a 2-car length gap back that Telitz has between himself and Ryan Norman.
Nice and smooth for Telitz, nice and smooth. Perhaps a little bit better, though, for Ryan Norman. That gap continues to close. We're not talking feet, though. It's by inches. You can tell he's on the charge, though.
Yeah, close to within 2 or 3 car lengths. They set up through the little kink in turn number 9. Anders, seeing guys all weekend kick up dust. These drivers, whether it be in the IndyCar Series, Indy Lights, really abusing the track limits. But we've seen some pretty impressive lap times as we've been breaking track records all weekend.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they've done some great work to the surface. Overall, it's a fairly smooth surface. Then you see coming out of turn 2, you obviously have a bit of that concrete patch, but nothing that really upsets the cars too much. And I tell you, I really like the fact that we have this dust offline because it makes it so much more crucial for you as a driver to put your foot right in every single corner. So I think it's something that really elevates the top drivers even further ahead and will certainly expose any mistakes you're making.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, first, that 48 car, that rear wing slide around the racetrack. Ryan Norman about 2 car lengths off of Aaron Telitz.
Yeah, they are getting close to being that proverbial blanket on top of them. I'm calling a maybe a car length and a half is now that gap now. It's Norman who looks to the inside of turn 9. Won't get him there, but he's on the charge here in Portland.
And this is what we've seen, Anders. May not be able to get him in turn 9, but if you can get a good run out of 12, here comes Ryan Norman. He's on the attack.
Well, and that's exactly the key here. The only issue for Ryan Norman is he just clicked off another push to pass. He only has 2 pushes to pass remaining, so now can he do it? And I think if he can hang around the outside here in turn 1, no, he's not going to be able to. I thought if he was maybe able to hang around the outside of 1, he would have the advantage coming into turn 2. Couldn't quite get it done here, but he's got 2 more push to pass remaining, so he's got to pick it carefully.
Jake, he is making Aaron Telitz sweat for that 5th spot.
Boy, he is. He is right on him, and again, he gets just a little bit wide going through turn number 5. Now, Ryan Norman, as they set up for turn number 6, you can hear Aaron Telitz kind of burping his way through that gearbox. Ryan Norman is just behind him. Dave, Ryan Norman again trying to close in on Telitz through 7.
Wherever Telitz goes, Norman is right there. Telitz has his mirrors full of Norman this time. This time Norman doesn't step out whatsoever. Single file through turn 9.
Yep, not close enough to get alongside through turn number 9. They'll make the long kind of double apex way through turns 11 and 12. Back out of the front straightaway. Norman heavy on the accelerator. Only one push to pass left, Anders. Here he comes. Norman's got a charge. He's going to try to do it on the outside again. Tielitz locks up the right front. He slides up and over the curbing. He'll swing wide through 2. Norman heavy on the accelerator, Jake. They're side by side out of turn 3.
And they're side by side. Tielitz to the bottom of the racetrack. Norman going to try one more time to the outside. Not able to make the move. Aaron Tielitz holds on to that 5th position. Norman going to try it again now through turn number 5. Right on the heels of Aaron Tielitz. He is looking to go every way, inside, outside. Give Aaron Tielitz credit, Dave, first, because as they worked their way in through turn number 6, he held out just about every single charge from Ryan Norman.
Ryan Norman's wearing out that gearbox of Aaron Tielitz. Now call it car length and a half advantage. Rice Lake, Wisconsin is in front by just a skosh. Tielitz leads him through turn 9.
It's great stuff, Anders, watching these two battle, man.
Oh, it's awesome, and you can clearly see that at the moment Ryan Norman has the better race car because, Aaron Tielitz is just sliding all over the place and starting to lock up like crazy here. So this is the final attempt. Actually, Ryan Norman's already out of the push to pass. So this is going to have to be a normal attempt, and he's down the inside. Can he get the job done?
Boy, he's got the run, and he clears him into turn number 1. What a great job by Ryan Norman to pull off that pass on Aaron Tielitz to move into the 5th spot, Jake, as they race to turn 4.
Nick, I'm going to give credit to both here. I'll give credit to Ryan Norman for making that pass after he had been working lap after lap. But at the same time, you got to give credit to Aaron Tielitz for simply knowing when it was finally time to be clean and not try to do anything that would have compromised both of them as they worked their way in through 1, 2, and 3. 5th place runner now, Dave. Coming at you is Ryan Norman.
Ryan Norman, of course, a former motocross rider, and perhaps inspired by the fact there's a motocross track here at Portland International Raceway. Yep, it is Ryan Norman leading the charge through turn 9.
So Ryan Norman may very well be on way to a hard-earned 5th place finish. Just 6 to go here. Up front, Anders, boy, Colton Herta, he's shaving off the lead on Padua Ward. It was 2.4 seconds, about 5 or 6 laps to go. It's down to an even 2 seconds, but he is running out of time with just 5.5 laps to go now.
Well, and I think the key to this race for Pato O'Ward now is to just continually receive messages from his engineer about where he's at and where Colton Herta's at, so he doesn't need to push too hard. So I think that's exactly what Pato O'Ward is doing at this point in time, just controlling that gap, not pushing any harder than he absolutely has to do, because at the same time you want to make sure you preserve those Cooper tires as long as you can.
But as we talked about, 1.5 seconds is that magic gap. At this point, that is just a slight bobble for Padua Ward, and Colton's going to be able to take advantage of that extra push to pass horsepower.
Yeah, absolutely. So now he's getting very, very close, and don't forget, Colton Herta has 10 push to pass remaining, so if he gets within striking distance, I think you're going to see that gap here get a lot smaller, now down to 1.9 seconds. So he's going to have now have a magic next couple of laps in order to get within range.
Yep, Jake, he's got to shave off 0.4 of a second, actually about an even half a second here in 4 laps if he wants to even get in range to catch Padua Ward, who has been awful strong once he's retaken the lead.
Yeah, the real difficulty here, Nick, is you're having to wait for Padua Ward perhaps to even make a mistake. Dave first, as he works his way in through turn number 6, you're going to see that green and white machine of Padua Ward coming into your view. And quite frankly, he has not put a tire wrong so far this race.
Yeah, I was going to say, after he gave up that lead earlier and then regained it, I'm not sure Patricio O'Warren has put a wheel wrong here this afternoon. As Colton Herta, he's doing what he can, but man, has he got a big gap to make up. Further back to Victor Franzoni, who's in 3rd, and Santiaruti in 4th.
Yeah, Franzoni poised for a nice podium finish, Anders, and, you know, about a month ago, we weren't sure we were going to see him even pushing very hard in that race car. This is going to be a nice podium finish if he can hold on. He's got about a 3.5 second lead over Urrutia.
Yeah, it will indeed, and it has been a very challenging year for Victor Franzoni, so it'd be good to see him back on the podium, and for him more than anything, just to kind of get a bit of a mental reboot and get him back on the podium. We kind of saw a big upswing for him after his win at Road America, but then a struggle thereafter. So I think this would be huge for him to just be up there again and feeling like, hey, I can do this, and would give him some good momentum coming into tomorrow.
From 1.99 down to 1.92. Again, Colton Herta is closing, but he is running out of time. 3.5 laps to go here at Portland, trying to run down Patricio Award, where if he can score this victory, is going to win the championship. And what a year it's been. He opened the season with a victory at St. Petersburg, swept the weekend at Barber Motorsports Park, went through kind of a tough stretch at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, both on the oval and the road course, where he only walked away with 1 podium in 3 races. Then Anders, boy, he got hot with a win at Iowa, a win at Toronto, swept the 2 races at Mid-Ohio, and boy, he is just 3 laps away now from a championship and a scholarship to the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Yeah, he is, and as we say that, though, Colton Herta just shaved that down to 1.8 seconds, so now he gained a full 10th here on Pato Award, but he's going to have to be quicker than that, and I think that's going to be the loss of the championship here on this particular day is Colton Herta just not able to gain in enough to get into that push-to-pass range.
Jake, on the stopwatch, it's showing that he's gaining, but visually doesn't look like it out there.
Nah, I would say not, because it's a substantial gap right now. I would say it's about 15 car lengths. Colton Herta might have a little more straightaway speed, though, Dave. Maybe he can close it in coming to you.
I would agree with you on that. It certainly doesn't look like Colton Herta is making the charge, or at least getting close enough to make a pass for this thing. I can't help but think, though, years from now, if both Award and Herta are fighting for IndyCar championships, that one day we might look at a day like this here at Portland International, back when we knew it when. These guys' future is certainly bright in open wheel racing.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, Dave. With 2 laps to go, this is certainly just the start of something that could be very special for both of these drivers, no matter who walks away with this championship. As for Pato Award, his 1.83 second lead is pretty strong, Jake Query, with 2 laps to go here at Portland International.
Pato Award gets his car to the outside of the racetrack as he works his way that long sweep of turn number 4. Now he goes in through that 5-6 area. He's about to set up for that right-hander that is turn at number 6. He does exactly that. He does so very cleanly. Colton Herta might have cut in just a little bit, Dave, but still very uncomfortable for Ward.
Yeah, Patricio Ward, just 19 years old, but certainly well beyond his years out here on the race course this afternoon. Gathered things back up, made the pass to get back around Colton Herta, and now is well on his way for a championship here in 2018.
Swings that number 27 Andretti Autosport Mazda out of turn number 12. Pato Award will see the white flag here at Portland International Raceway, 1 lap away from a championship and a scholarship to the Verizon IndyCar Series, thanks to the folks at Mazda through turns 1 and 2. Very clean. Here comes Pato Award to turn 4 for the final time.
At the beginning of the season, it was Patricio Award on paper, and then Pato Award is what we learned. People that knew him well began to call him. Now, all of a sudden, it becomes Pato Award nearly every broadcast, because the reality is, Dave, first, it has become a household name for those following this series. Pato Award has been dominant over the course of the season and consistent. He's coming to you for the final time.
You'll recognize the names of other drivers who have won Atlantics and light races here in Portland. Guys like Paul Tracy, Greg Moore, Andre Ribeiro, James Hinchcliffe, even Robert Wickens. Some of the most respected drivers in all of open wheel racing today. Pato Award is adding his name to the list of winners of Portland.
Not only to the list of winners, but to the list of Indy Lights champions. Out of turn number 12, Pato Award will see the checkered flag. He'll win his 8th race of the season, and he will score the 2018 Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires. Patricio Award from Mexico has won the title in Indy Lights in fantastic fashion with a race win here at Portland International. He'll go to victory lane. Colton Herta comes home 2nd. Victor Franzoni will round out the podium, grabbing 3rd. Santi Urrutia finishes 4th. Ryan Norman 5th. Aaron Thielitz 6th. Dalton Kellett 7th. And Heeman Choi 8th.
Pato Award, the 2018 Indy Lights champion. Congratulations. A big mistake in qualifying put you behind the 8 ball. What was your mindset going in to today's penultimate race of the season?
It was to win, man. I knew it was going to be pretty hard to keep Colton and everybody behind me because of the push to passes. It's really, really hard when the leader can't use it. So he had a really, really late pass on me, and at first my push to pass wasn't working for the first 5 laps, so I was hoping that they fixed that, and they did. And I catched up, did basically the same move he did on me, and I wanted to win this race, man. I wanted to finish the season in a good way and with a good taste in the mouth. Tomorrow we're starting towards the back, but I think it's going to be a fun race tomorrow. I start 7th. We have a quick car, so it should be fun.
For so many years now, Mazda and Anderson Promotions together have been creating the future generation of IndyCar drivers. You now add your name to that list. The question is, Pato, one race left in the season, but more importantly, are you ready to join IndyCar in 2019?
I am more than ready to go racing with the big boys. I couldn't be more stoked to get some laps in it, hopefully soon. And I've just been aching to get into one, so hopefully my chance comes soon enough.
The Soul Red finale ends a little early with this man claiming the Indy Lights champion. Pato O'Ward joins IndyCar in 2019.